Hi everyone. I was thinking, I've been collecting things for years. All these old things come from op shops. This is plain old calico or cotton. And, I probably have whatever I need to jump in and create something. But sometimes, people don't have a vast colour selection. I do a lot of dyeing. And I have all different kinds of ways to colour fabric. But that's not available to everybody. So I was thinking, let's have a go at the old tea and coffee and just see, I've never really played with that myself, so we'll just see what it does. Well, I've just made 3 different cups. Look at this. Instant coffee. A heaped teaspoon of instant coffee, and I put a splash of vinegar in. This one's Ceylon tea, and it looks like a nice reddy colour. This one I tried a green tea. It's done like a pale yellow. Maybe you'd need more. I don't really think it would do much. Okay, first, the vinegar. What's the vinegar for? It helps it set into the fabric. Now, really, all of this depends on if you're going to be washing something repeatedly. If you're not, if you're making a picture or a book cover or a photo frame or something like that, you don't need it to be like that. You could use to be washable. You could do whatever you like. So I think we'll just experiment. Now, these ones here feel really like they've got a lot of sizing in them, and perhaps you'd need to wash that well. But seeing that this green tea isn't looking like it's doing much, I'm just going to dip it and see what it does for a start. Let's just have a look. Right. This is dry. And I can see that all those bubbles on this, it's hardly going through at all. Yeah, it's hardly even getting wet all the way through. So I am gonna use this tea here, but I'm gonna use it to just scald the fabric and get some of that sizing out of there. So I'll let it do its thing in there. And this one too, because it's a bit stiff, and we'll put them aside. Now I've got some others here that are not as hard, so I'm thinking they don't have as much sizing in them. Well, what I wanted to experiment with was, so this is cotton. Cotton is best. Let's just see what happens when we dip this one. Straight away I can see a slight colour there. Interesting. I'm just going to leave that in there. What it will do is it'll draw that up into it. If you had something that was wet, it would draw it up very gradually. And not gradually, I mean, this could probably leave a straight line if we dried it. Let's see what this dark coffee does. Pretty. So I wonder if you left it in longer, does it do more? I don't know. Well, interesting. That does a pretty colour. Let's have another look at that. So let's squeeze some of that out. Quite nice. I'm just going to let them soak for a little bit, just one edge, just to see what it does. I do have some bits of lace. See this one here, I don't think all of it would cover, because a lot of it looks pretty synthetic. Oh, sorry. This one here looks pretty synthetic to me, this bit of lace. I don't expect it would do a lot. But look at that. I don't know whether when you washed it, it would be no good whether it would come out straight away, but isn't that nice? I could pull some of that colour down the stem, look at that, and keep some bits white. That's quite pretty. Oh, I've got some paper here, I'm just going to let that one dry. Put the tea aside for now. Notice how I didn't do it all. And you could not dip, you could just use a paintbrush or something. I've got these little green leaves that I didn't think really fitted in. I wondered whether I could do something with them. So let's see what happens if I just dip that bit in. It might not do much at all, but it might stop it being so green if I wanted something to meld in. I've got these bits of lace too. Let me just take one out. Yeah, I quite like it when I just do an edge, but I could do the whole thing. Perhaps I wanted that center done. Just drop some on the center. So you could have fun doing that. It's like painting. Like I said, if you're not going to wash these, it really doesn't matter about setting it. I do have different ways. We're going to go through different ways in different videos. But this was just something about, you know, the different things that you might have in your cupboard that you could use to play with. Learn a few techniques. Now look at our tea. Sorry. Very interesting. I'll pop that there for a moment. And our coffee. Can you see the difference in colours there? That is interesting. Alright, but we've got these ones that I was scalding. I don't think that that green tea would do much. It's very pale. But what I wanted to see was what happens when it's wet, you see, before we start. I'm just going to dip and see what happens. What I'm expecting is, seeing that this was dry, as it dries, it's going to create a stronger line. Whereas this one here would be more gradual, because parts of that colour would be drawn up into the wet cloth. So that's you could make that work to your advantage, depending on what kind of line you wanted, couldn't you? I'll do that, and I'll do this the other end. Put it in the tea. Sorry, got the tea there. Bit of an ombre kind of thing happening. All right, I'm going to leave it now and wait and see. But I'm thinking, you know, we've turned this colour into some interesting colour background. I like that. Right. Oh, just looking at that, see how some droplets dropped on it? Let's try that. Interesting. Well, we'll see if they bleed into it and how they would dry. What else will we try? I think I might try something where okay, I'm going to do this. Scrunch her up like that. Twisting hard. I'm just going to dip. See if that made any difference at all to how it... Oh yes, it did. See? Look what it did. So we've gotten different marks by remembering that some of it is dry, some of it's not. some of it is twisted. I've still got this piece here that is soaking. Yeah, you probably did colour it a bit. Just going to try a little concertina fold here and see what that does. But you can see, can you see how the droplets are still sitting on the surface of that? I don't know whether you're picking that up or not, but that's because there is sizing in this. So if I really wanted it to be to go through, you know, you'd wash it first, but I didn't want to. I wanted to see what it did. I'm like that. Okay, so I've got a fold there. Now what will I do? I might just tie it a bit. Go down here and tie it again. Not much. Let's do some little twists or something like that. Okay, it's going in. And this one was wet, remember? So it may not do anything. May not do anything different at all. Right, this one's wet. Normally when I dye, I try different things. This one thing you can do is, if you have salt, sea salt, sugar, it absorbs the colour, and sometimes it can drag some of the colour into interesting patterns. And I do that with my dyes quite a lot. I don't know if it'll work in this instance because there's not a lot of colour in there. It's all experimentation, it's all fun, I quite like that. But this, you see how it is still sitting on top? I may have to coax it, I think. So I'm just going to go, there you go, buddy. Don't want to, do you? Not at all. Alright. Well, that one should have definitely had something washed out of it before we started, but I am not thinking it's a failure, I'm thinking it's interesting. How about if I did something like that? Oh, look, it just goes completely off. Well, that's good. It has, that's a good explanation of the sizing that they put in. Okay, I'm going to go like that. Force it in. Oh, it's like an ink blot painting. So, I mean, with very little money and a few things from your kitchen, you could try a few different things. So, I'm going to try tea and coffee. See if it'll do anything different. I'm just looking to see if it would do a darker stem. It did. And you could wait for them to dry, and you could give them another go at different things. Coffee, tea on dry. Coffee and tea, one each end, on wet. These were both dry, and the colour didn't spread at all. Now, another word about when you're using things like this and trying to set the colour is I did add a splash of vinegar to all of them, and that may help. Some people pre-treat it, like they, as I was saying, you should really wash the sizing out, and some people you know, give it a soak in soda ash. Some people use soy milk. You'll find different things on the net that they use to make the material more more happy to accept the colour and to keep it. But you know, quite pleased with what we've done so far. Where's these leaves? I might do a couple more of these leaves. Look at how dark that one is. I wonder what happens if we go like that. Okay. You can sort of getting a print of one. You could do that. And that's interesting too, isn't it? Now you could do the same with threads. If you had threads that you wanted to do. I'm going to make my own variegated thread here. I'm going to dip at the center in the green tea, one end in the coffee and one end in the tea. We'll see what that does. That's a bit of stranded cotton that I might use in the design. So I'm happy, and I think what I will do now is I'm going to let them dry, and then we might make something out of them. I don't think this one's going to work. It's not doing what I wanted it to. I suppose the colour isn't really strong enough. Let's have a look now that it's dry. There's that bit of gauze. What else do we have? That one ended up a bit spotty. There's a nice spotty one. And different coloured laces. That was the greenish one that it did something. It's pretty good. Alright, so now what do? Well, they're all similar, and that means that they all fit together. Now I thought it would look nice. I just grabbed some brown to have a brown background, but I would also like to bring some other colour into it at least. Wouldn't matter which way you wanted to go. But I thought, well, this is delicate. Let's make it, you know, like that. So I just grabbed some bits of pinky orange. I've used this before. I've got oodles of it because I got it from the op shop and I love it. But it's just a nice overlay, adds a little touch or something. Now these three here, I've just experimented with doing a double dip. This one I dipped the whole thing. This one I dipped just that edge in the tea, and this one I did just that edge, and it sort of seeped through in the coffee. Now I'm going to let them dry and see what happens. Now I think you can see how I've used this sometimes over, sometimes under, just because I wanted a bit of it showing, tinting it a little bit so that it wasn't all the one colour. Now I would probably, I'm going to make this a part 1, part 2 thing. Oh, here's that lovely thread that we made. So what I would probably do is look for something that's pink, some threads, some brown, some beige, maybe even some pale green. Pale green wouldn't be wrong. Or buttons. Nothing too bright, I don't think, because it's not that kind of thing. Look at these little delicate babies. Aren't they nice? Maybe some of those. So I'll be looking for things like that to continue, but I think that's a really good start. Can you see we had a plain piece of brown, some plain calico, some coffee, a few bits of lace, and I had this overlay. But you know, you might have something else. This is just an idea of how to make your little stash just that little bit bigger. What about white? We could use white. Alright, let's continue this in part 2. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, do press like and subscribe. All my details are below if you're wanting to find me anywhere else on the net.
And hopefully you'll join me next time for part 2.